Good morning, guys. For this morning's devotional, I thought that I would share my testimony with you guys. I don't think most of y'all have heard it, and I believe that God calls us to be fully known, and part of that is telling the story of what He's done in our lives, and I haven't done that with you guys, and so I was just going to take this opportunity to do that. I almost didn't, because there's some not so fun stuff in my story, and I thought, like, that's not super encouraging, like but God was sweet to remind me this morning that that it is, because those parts are not the end of the story. So yeah, I'll just share with you guys my elevator version real quick. But so for those of you who don't know, I'm pretty open, so you guys will probably have heard some of this before, but I grew up in a really unhealthy home. Both of my parents experienced a lot of abuses as children growing up, and even as adults, and so that trickled down into their parenting. And my family has a medical history of struggling with mental health issues and different health issues too, but mainly mental health issues. And so that genetic predisposition, along with childhood experiences, took me to a really difficult place in my early 20s. I had always struggled with depression and anxiety, but I had never had words for it. And I didn't know that it was like a thing. I grew up with, the culture in our family that was very much like, everyone has it hard. So if you can't handle it, it's because you're just not strong enough, or you just don't have enough willpower, and it's on you. Which is a little bit of a tough way to grow up when that's not the case. But my parents were both raised Catholic, and then converted to Christianity when I was probably around 5. And I say that loosely. I'm not 100% sure if they're saved or what that looks like, because we spent the majority of my life in prosperity gospel churches. And so with all of that, we just had so much weird theology in our home. It was some Catholic, some of it was Christianity, some of it was prosperity gospel Christianity, and then some of it was just honestly, I don't even know. It was just man-made nonsense. And so growing up in those types of churches, I was literally taught that if I gave enough money, if I was generous enough with my giving, if I, in my own power and discipline, avoided enough sin, and if I was grateful enough and expressed enough happiness on the outside, that God would take away my problems, all of my earthly problems, that He would heal my physical body, and that everything would be not just okay, but would be great and happy. And so having that misunderstanding of who God is and how He works, I believe that because I didn't have those things, and because those things continually were not happening for me, that it was my fault, and God was disciplining me for not doing enough of whatever it was. And that just led me to a place of just absolute hopelessness and pain, and my human heart turned to the only conclusion that it could come to at that point, which was suicide. And so on this side of everything, I can see that what it really boiled down to was the idol of comfort. And not necessarily the kind of comfort that's I want, a big house, and I want a ton of money, and I want to never have to work, and I want everything to be perfect and lovely and awesome and fun and happy. But I just wanted relief from pain. In my pride, I believed that I had done enough to earn relief from that pain, and that I had earned healing, and that I had earned just less struggle, I guess. And so all of that idol again just led me to physical, hopelessness and death of, like the wages of sin is death. Like that's what it brought me to. And after my last attempt, I was in a Walmart parking lot in the middle of the night, sobbing uncontrollably. And I remember telling God that I couldn't do it anymore, and that I didn't have anything left, and that I didn't have the willpower to keep living. I genuinely at that point felt and believed that if I went to sleep that night, that my physical body would just give out and didn't have again, like the willpower or even the physical strength to continue functioning, and that I just couldn't do it. And so I told him the only way I was going to be able to continue living and to move forward was if he showed up. And he did. And it wasn't like this like big inspirational moment. It was just I was finally able to calm down enough to drive myself home, and I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and that was a huge victory at that point. And I made it through the day, and then I made it through the next night, and I woke up and just continued to see that consistent victory, and started to really understand who God was. I didn't immediately see change in the sense that like my physical health didn't change, my relationships didn't change, my living situation didn't change, none of that did. But standing on this side of things, I'm so grateful that it didn't, because God knew my heart. The Bible says that before I was formed, you knew me. He knew me well enough to know that I needed to see him be enough without anything else changing, for two reasons. Because one, I needed the change to be isolated to only him, so that I really knew that it was him. But I also needed to see that the faith that he gave me was real and was authentic. That, like with who I thought God was before, it was, if you run to these things, then God will immediately fix it. If you write the right check, if you avoid the right sins, if you, for the right amount of time, if you are grateful enough, then there will be immediate healing. And so I didn't want to be running to Jesus as the next fix and convincing myself that I was following Jesus, when really what I was doing was just looking for the next Band-Aid. And so when you choose Jesus as a means to get to something else, you're not really choosing Jesus. But when you choose Jesus and suffering, you're choosing Jesus. And he knew that I needed to see that. He knew that I needed that confidence. And he knew that I needed to see that, yes, he was asking me to continue to experience suffering in this life, but he wasn't asking me to do something that he hadn't already done to the fullest. Sorry, I'm looking through my notes really quick so I stay on track. Otherwise I won't. And so, sorry, this is what happens. As Judd would say, one of my favorite verses is Psalm 63:3. I feel like it sums up my testimony really well. It says, "Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will glorify you." My testimony boils down to I had to stand there and choose comfort and relief in this life through death, through ending it all, or choosing Jesus. even if that meant pain. And because God was merciful enough, he put faith in my heart to be able to choose Jesus. And I love that not only, God doesn't just bring us to ground zero and say like, okay, that's it. He doesn't just save us, he redeems those situations. And so I just think it's really beautiful to get to be a part of the worship team where our job is literally to stand up and glorify God through telling people what he's done and helping them, give them words and give them ways to tell other people of what God's done for them too. He took me from very literal death to life, and then even further to being a loved child of God whose sole mission in life is to glorify God, and to help others do the same. So as you can tell, I'm a pretty open book. So if you have similar struggles, I just want you to know you can always come talk to me if you need someone to just listen, or if you need someone to just sit there and say, hey, me too. Sometimes just not being alone is enough. And if not, if you know someone who has gone or is going through similar things, and you feel like like what God has done in my life, if that story can help them in any way, please share it. That's why God did it. And you're also free to connect me with them if you ever feel like that would help show someone Jesus, or even just strengthen their faith, or help them feel loved. You're always welcome to share my contact information or share my story with them. That is just one more opportunity that God uses to redeem it all. So please feel comfortable doing so. But I also just wanted to thank you guys. You guys are an incredible group of friends who genuinely love Jesus. And because of that, you guys have been a space that has been loving and supportive and safe enough for me and people like me to be able to be fully known, and to have the confidence and courage to do that. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you all soon.